coconut soup with a hot sauce. And it's amazing what you can do with a coconut. So just a few visions of the island. There's an old World War II gun because they did have a station there during World War II. And this is the original...
World War II is kind of important to us because we had to go through the jungle looking for wreckage from World War II to help fix the boat. And this is a gift from Canada. So this is the gift from the Canadian government, which also came in really handy for us for bringing said wreckage from World War II onto the boat to help fix it. I think we found it from an I-beam someplace. And then had locals that donated wood from a building project. And this is the sewing course again. So this gentleman has a little outrigger and his sail was just a mess. Highly recommend that you sweep all the ants off before bringing it on board. And this was how we people would show their appreciation when we did something was give us all these bananas. This was a really interesting couple.
Yeah, Lauren and Jennifer from Akataz. Does anybody know them? No? You know, yeah. Anyways, they were there. They were there when we arrived. Lauren, Jennifer, Opal, and Sean, because she's from the Philippines, and their story is interesting. I'll just tell you quickly if you haven't heard it. But, Lauren was sailing in the Philippines years ago, and that's where he met Jennifer, and they ended up getting married and decided to take her home to Canada. Off they went to the North Pacific route, and partway across, they got hit by a freighter, and it put a hole right in the front of the boat, and they could see daylight out through the front. They were lucky they didn't sink. And of course, Jennifer was wondering, this is the first time she'd ever gone sailing. So Lauren started telling her, yeah, it's normal, don't worry, this happens all the time. Anyways, they arrived, left the boat in Port Alberni, and promptly went inland for 2 years and just forgot about the boat. They'd had enough, that was it. And then they came back a couple of years later to sell the boat and get rid of it, and had second thoughts, and lo and behold, here they are again doing it. So there's the family there. Card shark. That's homeschooling. More sail repairs. This is Chuck. Okay? Some of you might have heard about Chuck Corbett, the infamous surfing dude on Fanning Island. He's quite a character. Man with a good heart. I think he might have smoked a few too many joints. Sometimes following his train of thought was a little challenging, but he was really trying to do a lot for the island. He was married to a local girl. He's the only foreign American that has it. He's a citizen of Kiribati. He's been there for 30 years or so. And he got this old boat here, the Fanning Island Trader, to try to do some surfing tours, bring people in for surfing, because there's some pretty amazing surfing here. Anyways, we did some repairs on his sails. In exchange for that, we got some bicycles, so we had bicycles to cruise around the islands, which most people use bicycles. This is a new Manyaba that the cruise ship company helped build, and there was a dedication party for that. And surprisingly enough, we ate a lot. We ate with the locals all the time, and we never got sick. I mean, I got the runs once there, but we slowly adapted to it, and I partly think that we didn't have refrigeration on board the boat, and so we kept food as much as we could, and it probably was started going off a bit, so I think our guts got pretty solid and used to the stuff. There's the fried breadfruit, and this is where you would eat, just on the floor. This is some medical stuff here. Do you want to talk about the medical? Yeah, you did mention. Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. So the Kiribati are incredibly stoic people. She's having a tooth pulled, and I mean, it looks really painful. She didn't even do so much as tighten her fist. She sat there perfectly relaxed. Tooth was pulled, off she goes. Not so much as an ouch, no anesthetic, nothing. So when a Kiribati says something hurts, you would have to think it's major. That was the hospital. So the last slide was actually the Kiribati hospital, which has a coral floor, lots of spiders, and cardboard boxes for storage. And this was the medical facility inside this door for the cruise line.
Just have to mention that this man who he was treating there was the chief of police and the immigration officer. And he just about died. If it wasn't for Lee helping him out, he would have died. That was part of the reason we were granted an extended stay. He said we could stay as long as we liked.
So It was really unfortunate because that really fine-looking clinic that belonged to the cruise line, and nobody locally was allowed in there. And we actually had also organized with somebody on the American side to get hepatitis vaccine to Kiribati, and the cruise ship would not grant them refrigeration for the crossing. So I have a bit of a problem with that cruise line.
Yeah, I mean, the official policy was it weren't, but the doctors on board and the nurses were great, because every week what would happen, they got to know us, and we would show up with the cases that she needed help with, and they would do whatever they could, gave us medicines, did minor surgeries. The doctors just, they were fantastic. In fact, with Tekiao, the man who had the liver problems, we managed to get a message to cruise ship ahead of time, and they were ready, they were prepared, bring him on board the boat, and they were going to do surgery on him and remove part of his liver is what they thought they would have to do. But fortunately, with the drugs that he was able to do and looking after him, he recovered. And that was the nurse on the island. They did about 2 or 3 years training. These are just some of the samples of the simple infections that you get there. And what you have to watch out for, it wasn't, if you get a big cut, it didn't seem to be bothered that much. It was just those little scrapes, particularly on coral. And you find that all over the Pacific. Bang was particularly bad. We all, like we said, we all ended up with that. It still wouldn't stop me from going back. Just really enjoying the people.
This woman here is Tavanita. She and I became really, really good friends. And I had a lot more weight when I first arrived to the island, by the time we'd been there for 5 months. And she goes to me, "Oh, Lee, you're getting so skinny. You're not taking care of yourself." "Oh, Tavanita, I'm getting skinny." And we two of us just laughed. It was really fun. It was really fun, that cultural clash. So this is how we got around. There's Lyra and I off to do visits. Those, you see on a few slides back there, those long hanging cylinders, those were the island, that was the island clock. And you'd hear those being pounded. That meant it was time to come to church, time to come to meeting. And there's a fine if you don't get to church on time. That's the general store, one of the general stores. This is a new building being built. And this is the storage for, so these guys are incredible. These are like big bags of rice that they're riding down the road with. And this is all the worldly goods you see right there. And this is a new church. This is high noon in the tropics, close to the equator on a metal roof. Yeah, and drying fish. And they catch a lot of fish there, dry it, and send it back to Tarawa for their families. Within this culture, everybody from the other islands knows everybody. You send your children back and forth. So there's incredible interconnection with everybody. And they have something called bobose. And if you bobose something, it means I need it. And if somebody boboses you something, you must give it. And that includes a child. It's a very, very different, obviously they're not going to bobose a stranger. They're going to bobose your brother-in-law or sister-in-law. We don't have kids, you've got 3, we want 1. And that's what would happen.
Yeah, that's part of the whole cultural thing, why, we come with our North American mentality of trying to fix things and trying to improve things and trying to help them get ahead a little bit, because, we saw a lot of wonderful things that they had with their lifestyle there, but they also had some issues and problems that, under the surface, there's things that are going on that aren't so pretty. But one of the things is that that's something that Chuck had a hard time with, trying to, get them to learn a little bit of income through tourism or something like that. But nobody would really get ahead, because if you got ahead too much, you have to give it away anyways. There was one woman there who had run a store, and she was very successful. She was a real go-getter, but she kept saying, I don't know why I'm doing this sometimes, because as soon as I make anything, my family needs money, and I have to give it away. And so that's part of the culture there. And you have to sort of understand it and realize it. And they do, as we said, problems. Sometimes drunkenness is a big problem if there is booze available. So they would lock somebody into the jail, and that is the jail. And if you got locked into jail, you had to have your family come and feed you because you weren't looked after otherwise. It was usually for a night or two until you sobered up, and then they would let you out.
One of the things we had a lot of fun doing was teaching on the island, and so here I think we're teaching the kids how to brush their teeth. And we had this little puppet show that went on. A bunch of the cruisers, we all got together and put on this puppet show on how to properly brush your teeth. And it was quite well received. And you see them all there with their toothbrushes. And the other thing we did was we did a play on germs and trying to get people to wash their hands before they ate, because worms were a problem too, but it was a lot of fun. And if you're going to a place like this or traveling in these types of countries, the book Where There Is No Doctor or Where There Is No Dentist, those are vital. Those are just, they're life-saving books. Really good. This is seaweed farming. And so, and this is our friend Bobore, and he has a seaweed farm there. And he taught me how to seaweed farm, and then gave me a farm. And I think he was really smart because he knew that by the time we left, it would just be before the harvest. So I would do all the work, and he would do all the harvesting. So he's a really, really smart guy.
Use a lot of plastic containers.
So this is a feast that's being laid out, and so everybody brings on. Everything's a potluck basically.
I wish I could have gotten the audio going to hear some of the music, because they sing